Hey everybody, the Oddtrotter at home here, giving you the truth about reasons people in Illinois are supposed to be proud of their state. Again, this is from onlyinYourState.com. And they give us these reasons that we're supposed to be proud of Illinois, mostly because if we live here, we don't really have any reason to be proud of it unless we're actively reminded to do so. Number 1. Illinois was the first state to abolish slavery, which is an absolute lie, and anyone who knows anything about history knows it. I won't deny that we were the first state to ratify the 13th Amendment, but that's not the same thing as abolishing slavery or even granting any rights to black people, because several states had already abolished slavery before we became a state in 1818, most of them out in the east and in the northeast. And in our first 7 years as a state, we actually allowed slavery on a limited basis. Once we became a free state, however, we held true to our convictions that everyone should be free to live their lives. We held to these convictions so truly that we had seasonal workers in Illinois as late as 1844. But after that, we ensured that blacks would be free and equal citizens in 1853 by banning free black settlement across the state. No, that's not really ensuring rights either. Yes, this was fairly common for a lot of ostensibly free states to say, "We love you guys, we want you to be free, please don't come within 200 miles of us or we'll drive you out." Because that's the sign of any healthy relationship, when you say you love someone so much you don't want them anywhere near you, isn't it? Still, when the Civil War ended, the architect of the exclusion law, John A. Logan, did get behind Reconstruction and gladly supported the 14th Amendment that would at least start us on the path to treating black people in America like human beings. Illinois can never make up its mind on anything except sports, so being indecisive as we were on this issue, even when life and death of human beings is on the line, is pretty par for the course. Still, let's get away from these heavy subjects. You're not here for history lessons racked with guilt. You want to laugh, don't you? So let's try and get back to that. Number 2, classic sports teams. And we do have plenty of those, mostly up north, from the Blackhawks to the 2016 Cubs, who finally broke the Billy Goats curse, to the Bears of 1984 and 85. Seriously, there are still people around here who talk about that Super Bowl like it was last Thursday. But that's the effect a good team can have. When your favorite team wins, especially if they were known for being losers in other years, it's a special point in time. It's not really an effect I feel very much of, since I'm not really into sports in general. I don't hate sports, I'm just not really into them. Anyway, people remember those old teams from decades ago and compare them to today as a sign of how things seem to have gone so wrong, even though most of our small towns have seen little significant change since 1974. I mean, here we still get flyers for SS Kresge stores who forgot that A, they've been called Kmart for several decades, and B, Kmart's supposed to be dead. Oh, I miss stores like K's Merchandise and Circuit City, victims of a world that no longer needed them. It's not just stores, it's restaurants too. We used to have, not too far from here, a really great spot called Pepe Taco, and... Oh wait, I'm talking about sports teams, aren't I? My point is, past or present, we do indeed have some legendary teams, either for being perpetual winners or perpetual losers. And to be completely honest, we sometimes cheer them on to lose as a reminder of who they are. Third, our farms feed America. I mentioned this in our last video in regards to corn, but these posts never really say which America they're feeding, because most of the time it isn't this part of it. We have sweet corn, as I mentioned, but the cannery in Mendota closed some time ago, so most canned corn now comes from out west. We still make the vast majority of canned pumpkin in North America in Morton, Illinois, and in September and early October, the smell of near-rotting pumpkin is inescapable if you're within 15 miles of that village. Even so, most of that is only eaten during a 6-week period late in the year, and mostly by tradition, since nobody would eat pumpkin pie if it wasn't a requirement to shove it into our mouths, covered in whipped cream and the occasional toppings of cinnamon and nutmeg. No, our farms mostly feed South America, but since South America feeds us in return, it's a good trade. Now, of course, we do still milk our own milk and cheese our own cheese, and beef our own beef, I guess. And we do have lots of great dairies like Prairie Farms and good ice cream and cheese from them. Unless, of course, you're lactose intolerant, in which case we have nothing of value downstate. And actually, even if you aren't lactose intolerant, we have very little of value downstate. And again, we do have soybeans for making tofu and imitation bacon bits and imitation meat abominations for people who have seen fit to cut meat out of their lives. Those poor souls. Still, I do suppose we do feed America in our own way. If only we could feed it things like oranges and exotic zebu cattle and things that are in demand, like the ultra wealthy, like, I don't know, quinoa or whatever it is that they subsist on. Kale 4. Route 66 starts here, and they're actually right about something for a change. Don't listen to those people who say it ends here in Illinois. It starts here. Everyone who's done the trip both ways says that going from east to west is the best way to do it. Having taken a small bit of that road myself, I understand why. It tells the romanticized version of the American story without all the genocide and racism and all that fun stuff. It tells us about the desire to expand and go ever westward to the Pacific, from civilization to the untamed lands of the Southern Plains and the Southwest, to the modified civilization of the West Coast, as long as you don't die from smoke inhalation. And of course, some parts of the road tell you more of the true story about how some didn't fare so well in this tale. Others tell you the tale of its visionaries, like Bob Waldmeyer, as I saw in Pontiac in 2019. Link is in the description for that one. There are so many other things to see and do and eat and smell and touch that give you a flavor of the American character for good or ill. I've only tasted a small bit of it and hope one day to traverse the whole road, see the incredible sights in New Mexico, walk across the Chain of Rocks Bridge between Illinois and Missouri, try my luck at the Big Texan with their big 72-ounce steaks, and then at journey's end sit on the Santa Monica Pier and feel the breeze of the Pacific on my face. Or maybe that salty smell is just someone's pretzel salt going up my nostrils, in which case I may need medical attention. And Route 66 isn't the only road here either. We have segments of the Lincoln Highway and the National Road and the Great River Road, and the Mormon Trail starts in Nauvoo, but I can't go on it until I have a team of 8 oxen, 250 pounds worth of bacon, 10 water kegs, and size 10 cans of fruit and vegetables. I miss Oregon Trail too, don't you? Anyway, my point is we have some of America's best highways and byways, and some of its worst too. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been out near Morrison, Illinois, but there's this road there called Garden Plain Road. And I've never heard any reason before to call a strip of asphalt a jerk before, but it is a jerk. And it knows it's a jerk. I'm not even going to dignify it by explaining why it's such a miserable excuse for a road, but trust me when I say it is one. Number 5, our backwards flowing river. A lot of people outside Illinois don't know this, but the Chicago River actually flows backwards to our eternal resentment here along the Illinois River. Over a century ago, Chicago decided it was a bad idea to dump all of their sewage from the Chicago River into Lake Michigan because Lake Michigan is where Chicago gets its water. Seriously, there are huge water cribs several miles offshore that pump water over to the Jardine treatment plant over near Navy Pier, which explains a lot about how locals up there hate Navy Pier. So to save their water, they destroyed ours by building a series of locks and the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal. That moves down into the Des Plaines River, and by the way, it is pronounced Des Plaines. A lot of people say Des Plaines or the Des Plaines River, and that's not how it's pronounced. It is Des Plaines. Just ask anybody. If you pronounce it wrong and you get caught, we put you in a box, fill it with dry ice, and throw you into Lake Michigan. And right now, that's pretty darn cold this time of year. Anyway, the Des Plaines joins up with the Kankakee over at Dresden Nuclear Power Plant, which is the oldest one still running in the United States, I believe, and it becomes the Illinois River there. And further down the Illinois River is my hometown. And all of the refuse from the rivers and the canal, combined with the waste from mega hog farms and coal-fired power plants, comes down here, so we can't eat any of our fish beyond small drum or bullhead. People think that downstaters resent Chicago because Chicago lords Illinois over us, but that's only partially correct. It's also because they actually made our water polluted because they wanted to take the effort to make their city cleaner. And it's full of diseases like cholera and typhoid of all things. I mean, seriously, what has cholera ever done to people? Honestly. Thankfully, we have aquifers and wells down around here, and our town's water actually comes from one of these wells. We also have the large Stancody Aquifer just a little bit to our south. I still drink bottled water, though, despite it being bad for our environment, because our tap water, well, we have century-old pipes around here, so our water tends to land in a sink or a glass with the same kind of metallic clang as a cascade of coins coming out of a slot machine. We actually have contests on whose water is the loudest clang, and in my house, we usually win. We don't get a trophy, though. The trophy for that sort of thing would just be embarrassing. And with that, that's the end of our second little look at Illinois. We're going to look at another state next time in 2 weeks. If you have a state or a country or a province or a prefecture or a governorate or whatever you want me to tell the truth about, let me know in the comments below and I'll try to get it in. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe for more great videos. And don't forget, we will have travel videos again this year with some luck. Hit that notification bell because we might make this a weekly thing if people like these regular at-home videos enough. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I've got to be trotting along.